What's going on, everybody? Landon here with Home Service Business Coach with Dave.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. Excited for this one.
Yeah, dude. I feel we're going to talk about kind of your A to Z cleaning business startup. How do you start a cleaning business from A to Z? And we were just chatting off camera. I think the biggest thing is, like, when I look up these videos is not getting any actual tangible information, to be honest. So we're going to go through questions like, literally, what are your first few steps with actually from incorporating to open up a business account, all the way to how much money you should have aside to, how do you do a step-by-step with, getting your first kind of $10,000 worth of work, CRMs. We're going to get into all that.
Nice.
But the first thing, Dave, I wanted to touch on here is we're going to leave your case study.
Yep.
0 to 800K with Revive down below. So check it if you haven't.
That's a good one too. I remember I did a speech at the Huge convention, and that was my resource because a lot of people are selling from the stage. I was like, I'm just going to give this away for free.
Yep.
You were actually in a flight with some Wi-Fi. Tell everyone what happened to your phone.
Oh my gosh. I was in the airport. It was I think half an hour before the flight, and my service ran out, but I think 71
your phone
text
was
messages.
spinning.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So
it's amazing. Free value. Maybe this is something what we're alluding to in the episode. But today's episode is sponsored by Evans at D&E Exterior Home Care. And what he said was, Home Service Business Coach has guided me in so many different ways. When I first joined the program, I had so many questions as to what I should do to reach that next level. But with all the coaching calls and all the modules, I can say that I'm just ripping off and duplicating what already successful people have done. Thank you for saving me so much time as my company grows.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
R&D,
rip off and duplicate, baby. So I guess the first thing, Dave, let's start on, we were talking about this on camera, off camera, money.
Yeah.
This business is, you can start with $0 is often the claim. Mm-hmm. Dave, let's start on that right away.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to consider the source where you listen from, right? I don't think we're the guys that are telling you can start with absolutely nothing. I think having a few dollars in the bank helps. For my journey, it was a $3,000, initial small tiny nest egg that I had. So if you got a couple grand, if you've got 10 grand, great. If you've got 30 grand, even better. I think at the end of the day, Landon, people drastically underestimate some startup costs. Mm-hmm. And if you're shocked right now getting groceries and gassing up your truck, I remember a guy I was coaching way back in the day. He told me when I'm running a business, I used to think $100 was a lot of money, but when you're running a business, it's nothing. And even now it's almost like $1,000 running a business in today's day and age, moving into 2025. It's not that much. So you want to have a cushion.
Absolutely. And everybody, I'll use Trump as an example, love him or hate him, because they're just talking about this too. He took, that $1 million and turned it to $1 billion. Everybody likes to crack on him. The moral of that story is he had $1 million to start with. Whether you would have done better or worse, that's kind of irrelevant. He had money because it does take money to make money. And I think, again, if you're looking at this or watching this and you have $0 in your bank account, honestly, and I've talked to so many, who you are, you're working your full-time job, you just cannot wait to take this thing full-time. My biggest thing, and you've heard it preached 1,000 times, if you're making $60K a year, your revenue, bare minimum, let alone the profit, but revenue is a really good indicator, needs to eclipse that. Yeah. You got food you got to put on the table, gas, all this kind of different stuff. So ideally, if you're starting out, you have a full-time job that is doing, 50, 60K plus per year, and you have some cash saved up. Yep. And again, if you are scraping by doing 60K a year, when you start your business, your expenses shoot because you have your family side and now you have all the business side, which you're going to get into. So anything to touch on that? I
mean, you just want to think it through, man. I think one of the most important discussions a business owner can have with their partner is what amount of money does our household need to function? And the keyword there is what do we need, not what we want, because that's where the issue is, I think, in a lot of relationships is what is needed and what is wanted. And what I would say the ideal path is pay your family what they need every month, and the gap to the want, use that to invest back in your business. I think a lot of people's startup story, myself included, it's just been a series of years, decade, living on less than I make. And it's nothing new and wow, that's so amazing. But when you do that enough years, it's just a mindset. So I'm not saying live on rice and beans, but I think figure out how you can save a little bit in your business and keep investing. Because that is like, if you're going to shut off the podcast, that's the best investment. If you own your own business, investing in your own self, your own growth, your own development, your own education, a whole lot better than upgrading, you know, fancier things in life too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agreed. So I guess let's get into question one, right? What are some common mistakes to avoid?
Lots. Let's hit the big ones. I think I just touched on it there. Just to sum it up for right now is, I would say, delaying gratification. Personally, that would be number one, and that's the biggest thing. Wow, I did a $2,000 roof moss removal, roof spray. I have $2,000.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't. There's overhead to pay. There's taxes to pay. A lot of us get excited when money comes in, but we also need to know money needs to go out to go get that next job. My mentor told me back in the day, Dave, you are as self-employed, you're actually unemployed until you get your next client. And biggest barrier right now is obscurity, that no one knows about you in your market. So I would say those are the two biggest. I would say number one, you think all money's created equal and you don't put any aside for other expenses. And then the second one, I think the oomph on marketing is too light, like 9.9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I would completely agree with that. So let's say, for an example here, you have 10K set aside. You're working your full-time job, but you have 10K set aside, okay? Number one, this is step one on literally how to start. Number one, you need to get your name registered. Province, state, doesn't matter. For us in BC, about $120.
Yep.
And that's with priority, so you'll know within 24 hours if your name's approved or not. Two, incorporating. I put 1,500.
That's about
could
right.
be $2,000, give or take. Again, website, we're partnered with 180. Those are who we'd recommend to go with. I'm thinking 250 a month. I would not. I think this is another mistake. Don't try and build a website yourself.
Yeah,
you suck at it. You're not a web designer, and people will know.
Yeah.
Don't try and do that. So that's, cost 250 per month. Get there. CRM, I think that's absolutely critical. Maybe this could come 2 weeks to a month after your first job, but about $100 for the starter pack on kind of any CRM. Jobber's what we recommend, but again, up to you. Marketing material, put about $1,000 aside. Again, we're going bare minimums here. Obviously, if you can add to it. Equipment, $2,500. We're going to touch on more on equipment here. Fiverr, I put $50 to $100. This is really going to be creating a logo. So you have your name, you've registered your name. Now you're needing some sort of logo. Okay, so $50 to $100 on Fiverr. Okay, so all in to start, you're at around $55.70 from incorporating all the way down to your logo.
Doesn't get more lean than that, man. That's a great figure in 2025 today. Like, that's just what stuff costs. And obviously pivot it to your country, your state, your province. But we're generally, I'm like, you nailed it on all those land, and that's great.
Yeah. And then again, for those, like, if you want to start a business, incorporate or name, registered, incorporate, and then open up a freaking business bank account. Don't know how many people I talk to, they're running things through their personal when they start. It leads to a bunch of headaches. You can't get a business card. You can't start building that business credit.
Yeah.
Your accountant's going to look at you and scratch their head. The IRS or the CRA is going to come after your ass. And it's just like, don't make these, again, common mistakes here. So, Dave, what's the mindset? Like, let's touch on this. We're going to get into equipment. We're going to get into marketing, all these kind of different things. So stay tuned. But mindset when you're starting off the bat, about initial services all the way down to, maybe some branding, some logo.
I think your mindset should be like you're building a machine, you're building an airplane. And so when you take that paradigm, for that machine to like dip into your own personal bank account would be insane. So like, I always think things just want to run independent is the best way to do it. So like you said, separate insurance, separate website, separate insurance, bank account, just build it all out as an aside from your personal life, because eventually this thing, if you build it right, is going to function independent of you. And even the very fact that, at least in Canada, going incorporating or LLC in the US means it functions independent from the business owner. And there's a lot of pros to that from a liability perspective and tax planning. But at the end of the day, you want to have them be two separate entities. So when I got to work growing Revive initially, it was always like, let's build the machine independent of Dave, because I had the vision begin with the end in mind. One day this bad boy is going to run without me. And it took about 4 years, but one day it's going to happen. And so I just did all that working backwards.
Man, I had a note here as well too for those that are listening. I got my laptop out. What do you want your business to enable you to do?
Yeah.
That would be the question to start. And I think you might have read my notes. Maybe I got to cover them. Practical steps to starting a business. We have touched on that, guys. Register, incorporate, open a business bank account. This is critical. This is kind of the chicken or the egg question here. Would you market your company first or buy the equipment first? Super big topic.
I'll jump in. I love that. The answer, I think, is pretty obvious. Like, you want to be marketing yourself from day
That's
zero.
Scandalous, though, Dave. It's scandalous.
But I think if you look at the companies, like if you just look at the companies that grew to somewhere you want to be, let's say you interviewed 10 business owners, Landon, that had a cleaning business that are all doing $100,000 a month, let's just say, for a quick round number.
Yep.
I guarantee all 10 of those owners, if you track them down, got their number, texted them, gave them that question, they would all answer 10 for 10, the marketing. The equipment's easy. The equipment doesn't necessarily, it will make you money, yes, but it's like playing a baseball game and like getting to second base before we get to first base. Like you got to get the airplane off the ground, shout it from the rooftops that you own a business and these are the services you have.
Yeah.
You could get equipment set up overnight, man, with a quick trip. What I did, a quick trip to Home Depot. Sweet. I got a pressure washer. I was unboxing the thing on the first job site. Like, it's just like, it doesn't take a lot of brains or time to have to do that. But it took me weeks and months to market the business. And here's your red hot tip to answer this. I'll throw it back to you. What I would do if you're starting a cleaning business, let's just say it's like January 1st, start of the new year. I would say April 1st is our launch date. I give myself 90, 120 days just to market because I know how long this stuff's going to take.
Yeah.
And I would take one of those 100 days and go and get your equipment and get it set up. I would use 90 of the others to build everything out. Instagram page, Facebook page, get your website, build out your CRM, make your posts, do the shout outs in the local Facebook groups. I would do all that stuff first, gearing up to that launch date. Because here's another problem we talk about. Guys and girls, they launch out. Hey, I started a business. Oh, can you come clean my place? Yeah, I'll come and do it. You get pulled into production and the marketing goes by the wayside.
Yeah, so true.
Pick a launch date 100 days in the future. If you can wait, like just do that because it's going to build a better business.
And I think we should also touch on this. I mean, it's phenomenal points to piggyback off is like your initial services, right? So like, yes, we're talking about exterior cleaning, but this applies to literally pick a trade. What are you going to be known for? Just like in Amazon, I've said this before, just like a Tesla, they're known for one thing. For you, with Revive, easy entry level for exterior cleaning is getting into window cleaning and some pressure washing.
Yeah.
Soft washing can come later. Again, to get a really nice soft washing rig, it's going to be 10, 15, 20. The guys that are spending 50K, I get it. You're probably washing bigger commercial jobs, but still, you don't need to start there. It's still crazy. 50K on equipment, it's crazy. But on that, pick kind of your initial services. So do you have any tips on kind of, if I'm offering out a tier, I'm starting an exterior business, what are kind of the core services? I would just want to go really granular for everybody.
I mean, man, I would max out at 3 services to start. Unless, like, again, take it with a grain of salt. But if you've like scaled up a business before, you could probably have a bit of a bigger like service suite.
True.
But I really think, at least in my case, it was windows, gutters, and like basic pressure washing. Then we moved to actual house washing just with downstreaming. We washed like 300 houses that way. And then about a year later after launch, then we got into soft washing. And then we were like, okay, we can clean roofs now. Then we got into our holiday lights because I wanted to extend seasonality. So it was a bit of a tiered thing. But I think if you look at growing a cleaning business, getting it going, I would start with not more than 3 services, I would say.
Okay, really good. 3. That's it. Okay. Don't go gung-ho on offering everything under the sun. Another mistake that we see too often.
I'll just speak to that. I think we see a lot of members we work with too. They want to offer paver sealing. They want to go and get into this thing. And like, just because you get an opportunity doesn't mean like you go and say yes to it. And I actually think it's like pretty disciplined for an entrepreneur to know what's the strategy I'm building with my business, and what's the vehicle I'm going to take to get there. And I would actually say you don't need as many services as you think. Like the only reason we did Christmas lights, we're in Canada here. If I had a ripping 12-month-a-year business, I could just do cleaning, I would stay in my lane and just do cleaning. So for us, a function of adding services is just plugging up seasonality.
And again, too, you're like, well, then I'll be able to get more clients. It's like, that's not, you're not going to solve your problem of lead flow by adding more services. No. This might be hard. You just need to get better. You need to build a better brand. You need to have a better website, better GMB, more reviews, better job. Again, obscurity, nobody knowing your name.
Yep.
Focus on that to guarantee the business grow 10 times more than adding an additional service. It's just, and again, training guys are going to be difficult. Now you got a little bit more, you got to have another service, and then all these different complications.
Yeah, it's really the main hat, man, I wear today in both companies is sure CEO, but CEO for a small company. I mean, it
varies.
It varies, but like marketing director, that's really, is the phone ringing? And do we have like jobs on the schedule? Like I wear that heavy on my heart morning, afternoon, and evening. Like, do we have the lead flow coming in? And I think most small business owners, like I said off the rip, they just underestimate the push it's going to take. Like post pandemic now, man, most contractors don't know how to get leads. And that's something we're even seeing in our program with our members, shifting a lot of our training to help them get leads and build up a brand. And we can talk about that, but I just think that's, I can't emphasize that enough.
And Dave, we're looking at your jobber. What are some stats? What are some stats?
Well, Landon was just busting my chops because this morning it's a Monday. We're filming here in the studio. I got my deep work done. Landon turned up to my place. I was actually sweeping out my my garage. So he was busting my chops, but went for a walk this morning with our dog and my son. And, you know, I was showing Landon our jobber. We, at time of this recording, the morning, we had 9 leads already in and 8 payments coming. I didn't add up the dollar amount, but it was
4 hours.
Yeah, in like 4 hours. So
crazy.
Yeah.
That's just, again, focusing on the business knowledge, the marketing skill set, branding, and time. It's going to take time. You're not going to build $1 billion business, especially in the cleaning space. You're probably not going to hit $1 million your first year. That's okay. You're all building towards that. Let's keep going here. Thoughts on website GMB?
Yeah, it's a must, man.
Absolutely.
So my painting business, we only got up to like 40 Google reviews originally when Google reviews was just becoming a thing. And I always told myself when I get out of my franchise and start my own brand, we're doing Google from day one. So this wasn't like 2 fundamental structured things I did from the start was Google review ask from day one. And you used to be able to hit up your friends and family and get the first few that way. Now you'll just get flagged. So don't do that. But number 2 was setting up my jobber. And then number 3 was like a good website. And I actually tracked down, this might be an overshare, but I tracked down the web builder for a national franchise through North America. And I found his little thing in the footer of the site and found his site and found him. I love reaching out to people. I said, I love this site, but I'd make a few changes for mine. And he built out like the version 1 of Revive's site. So that was another $4,000 at the time that was tough. So the first few jobs, we did 89 grand in the first year. The money coming in, I was redeploying out to the website.
Yeah.
Put $1,000 for basic decals. At some point I upgraded my Ryobi pressure washer, right? Like we're talking about startup here. Yeah. There's always things you can upgrade.
Always. Yeah. And again, this is the thing of like taking money to make money, right? Like, yeah, you can go and have the $6,000 website with inflation now off the bat. At the end of the day, do you have the cash laying around? You shouldn't strap yourself to have the nicest website if you can't afford the equipment, vice versa, and have the nicest equipment. But like, again, how many people I've spoken to, they got the best of the best equipments, but they don't have a website. I'm like, people, we're in 21st century. We're in 2024 when you're listening to this, heading into 2025.
If you're going to build properly too, I'll just say this, like there's fundamental things that are just non-negotiable that you don't even think twice about. And like, that's your GMB, that's setting up your CRM, your jobber. That's dedicated marketing time. And honestly, for website, like I would just get with the team at 180 because they've done work for us and our members, and they're charging like a few $100 a month, and they make you already look like a 7-figure business from the first day. So it's that's just, don't shop around. In my opinion, I would just book them.
Same with me too. And like, as my mentor says, it's like, you're not real. That's what he says. And he said to me time and time again, right? Is you have real business owners, quote unquote, and you have people that aren't real. If you don't have a website, you don't have a GMB, you know who you are, as harsh as that may sound. Yeah. So now let's get into marketing. Huge section here.
How much time we got?
Man, we're going to take as long as it needs. This might be a little long, but like I said, let's just go step by step, systematic. Get you guys the help that you need. That's why HSBC exists. Yeah. We have a program. It's pretty awesome. You should check it out. Anyways, how would you get your first 10K worth of clients? What are you doing? What's the mindset? So I'm going to hold on the equipment. I got January 1st.
Yep.
I have 10K saved up. I've done all these things. I spent my, $5,400. I have some marketing material here. And we'll touch on that. Where do you go get marketing material? We're even going to touch on that.
Yep.
10K, how am I doing?
Yeah, I would take a couple weeks and build out your brand first. So you could hit up Fiverr, you could hit up 99 Designs, you could hit up your graphic design buddy. At the end of the day, probably if you got 10K in the bank, like you're probably going to end up rebranding your company at some point. Yeah, I'll just say that. True. And like at the end of the day, big deal, right? We rebranded from Revive Washing to Revive Services and costed a few dollars, but I had proof of concept. Like rather than go and dump 20K in with it. Again, if you've not built a service business yet or scaled a company, you got to jump through a lot of these initial hoops. So if we're talking to the YouTube audience, podcast audience, a little tighter on cash, I would look to just get an MVP, a minimal viable product. I'd get a sweet logo. You can figure out your color scheme and get a really great name, and then lock in that domain name, get your Facebook, your IG, make sure the name makes sense, and there's not there's all kinds of weird domains now, but if you get a .com, I think would be the ideal. .ca fine if you're in Canada, but spend some time branding this thing, because once you got name, logo, sweet, then I would be going, you go to Vistaprint and get 500 business cards created. You want to have a few marketing collateral, some assets, get a couple shirts made, right? I got the logo here. I don't know if the camera can see it on the sleeve.
Yeah. We got logos here too.
Get logos. And then you're set up good, at least like from a consumer perception, like we have the general makings of a company. Step 2, then I'll shut up. Go and hit up your immediate network. I think most people are too shy to initially tell their inner circle like what they're actually doing. And I think your first number of jobs could get booked 100 days out just from your initial circle.
Yeah. And just to plug Evans again too, of D&E, who shouted out at the beginning of this, sponsor in this episode. That's what he did. He was like, I think 9 months into his business, and he didn't let himself nor his business partner get in the way, Dante, get in the way of like them actually starting to build the company they wanted. They were unashamed of, hey, this is what we're doing, as you should be as well too. So
if you want to take the next step in scaling your business to the next level, you're going to want to check out our Scaling Blueprint program. We've worked with hundreds of home service business owners now all around the world, where we've actually built out the systems for them in their customized branding and provided them with coaching from our 7-figure coaching team. If you want to learn more about that opportunity, then go ahead and click the link right here. Now let's get back to the episode.
Okay, so you have, like, again, you have your logo, you've gotten it from Fiverr, that's finalized. Your website's in progress, being built. Your GMB should be up. Look up YouTube, very simple to set up. Yeah, you can pay somebody, but it's don't really need to. Now you're gonna go down to your local print shop. Like, Dave, I just want to go. It's Minuteman Express, popular one here. You probably have them down there in the States. 500 flyers, 50 yard signs, maybe 25 if you don't want to spend that much. 1 A-frame sign, and then I want 5 shirts.
Yeah, it's good.
And a sweater. Yeah. That's kind of, this is your marketing material. This is just starting, right? Okay, simple as that here. That's how you're going to go get your first 10K. Now you're going to start placing those signs. Again, your first kind of 3 months before April 1st. block schedule. I'm going to spread signs for 4 hours. And while you're doing it, you're going to be like, I have no idea why this works. I remember at Revive, at the, in between quotes, your stake sign would go in. I'd be like, who the hell's calling this? And then we'd get it on the source. It'd be like, oh, that sign. Yeah, I saw the sign on, so-and-so cross street. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It works.
Yeah, there's a reason it works.
Reason we do it.
Yeah, 100%. One key thing to add in here too is something I've done almost every year owning a service business. I do what's called like an intelligence gathering mission, I guess we call it. And I'll literally land and just
Is this legal?
Yeah, I'll literally have the laptop up in my front seat and I literally go and drive neighborhoods that I think will have our ideal client avatars. And I think a lot of people think, oh, build your ideal client avatar. You really have no idea when you get started building a business. So I would figure out more, where are the neighborhoods that you would have a hypothesis and say, if I had to bet $10,000, I would bet this neighborhood here would be great. And then 2 neighborhoods, full transparency, fully put me through business school. Like it is honestly crazy. We did one neighborhood alone. I painted 18 houses, me and my team, over $80,000 of revenue. And I flushed 20 grand on the bottom of profit. It's my whole business degree. Canada's school is cheaper, but
well, not anymore maybe.
Yeah. Okay. But it's just like, that's what I'm talking about. I found a subdivision that has like 190 homes. And anytime I went and actually went back to that neighborhood, my wife found something for our son on Marketplace. I'm like, yeah, I'll go pick that up, go for a little drive. And it was in the neighborhood, literally at those on the West Coast, Rosewood Park, 190 detached homes, painted 18 of them. As just like, I get chills driving through that neighborhood because I'm like, I just became a student. And once I did one home, it turned to 2. And you guys are listening, when you get in those honey hives, you're good.
Yeah.
Don't try and take over the whole metropolitan area. Just be like, these are my 3 neighborhoods. I'm going to go dominate. And I would door knock that neighborhood 6 times in a summer. 6 times. Am I seeing the same person?
Well, like, I mean, again, you're going to be
2 months
persistent.
Ago.
Yeah, you're persistent.
But it's just that level of like ballsiness when you can get to a place in business and life, you genuinely don't care what people think about you. Yeah. Good to go. And for me, it took like 4,000 doors to make that happen.
Yeah. Becoming famous in your local community. That's what we're talking about when we say that.
And having the balls to do it. In my book, I call it passionately promoting. No one's going to promote your business more than you, the owner.
No, that's true. Very, very true. I love that. Okay. Leveraging ads to start. Let's touch on that while we're on marketing.
Yeah. I mean, probably in due time, yes. But if we're talking someone on a limited budget, like your question, you want 10 grand to work, you do not need ads.
No.
If you want to build 100K a month, put a team in place, it's 2025, move into 2026, probably a good idea to get cracking on some ads. That's where the eyeballs are. But again, like probably not DIYing it, actually working with someone who's legitimate and solid.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And taper your expectation on return. The best return I've ever got in my service business, 16 years, is just doing a great job and building a great brand. Like we pulled out my jobber, 9 leads came in. None of those are today from our team door knocking or going out. Like it's just inbound. Like we rank well on Google and we do great work and people talk and we built a brand.
Exactly. But the brand's going to take time too. And you thinking you're going to become, get all these leads from Facebook ads. It's like, how many ads do you scroll past? Maybe you scrolled past even our ads. We know, and we're hurt. So bear that in mind. Just jokes aside. Okay, so we're now at April 1st. We've marketed. We have a few jobs on the books on our CRM. We're nervous. We're excited. Our equipment's bought. We got our marketing material. We're just ready to launch, right? You're working your full-time job, so you're still making the bread and butter. All the revenue from the business should be getting put back into the business. But let's say I have 4 jobs lined up on the 2 weekends. Okay.
Sure.
How would then I break my schedule down, Dave? I think that this is critical and I want to caveat this before we get into it. The reason why your business, you're struggling to grow or not growing at the rate you are is you're not spending enough time to shut up, not do the jobs. It's so counterintuitive, I know, and actually build the thing out. Because when you're on the job, like you said, you're not marketing anymore. Huge don't stop marketing, but you also aren't building anything. You don't have systems. You don't have anything like this. So how would you block your schedule, if you will? And I want to even get maybe even more granular.
Sure.
When you're working full time,
Yeah.
and then we're going to touch on when should you go full time, or maybe even start to hire where you have your full time job. We'll touch on that after.
Yeah.
And then a full time schedule. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy.
Big question.
It's a great question. I think the biggest soundbite is you need to build your business before you like do your business. So
You got to
need-
elaborate, brother.
you
That's
need-
good.
Well, it's what you said. You got to block your time and have some patience to build it before just running out to the next job. Too many contractors. It's exciting getting your first job. I literally had a folder. This is a quick aside in my Google Drive. I called it Memory Lane, and I found like random stuff, Landon, from like the first time I got a lead for Revive. The guy's name was Corey. He wasn't even he was like an hour away. But I screenshot it. I'm like the first lead for Revive, and then the first
That's
check
awesome.
that came in. So I have pictures of that stuff, which is super cool. But I think we get excited for those first leads and jobs. We want to go out and fulfill on them. Excitement's good, but I think just hold that line of the launch date is here. And I learned this from my student painting company. They wouldn't let us go out and paint a house until it was something like $15,000 or $20,000 booked, like signed contracts. And I remember, man, the fourth year of my painting business, I went into May 1st, didn't paint a whole house that year, $106,000 of signed contracts. $100,000. Like,
Buddy, come on.
but I'm just saying, like, that set up my production. I was booked out 2.5 months. I had my painters hired.
There's
I
your
didn't have-
summer.
exactly. So like, that's what I'm saying. To if we're gonna build January and launch April 1st, if you don't have 10K booked, don't launch. Like, just keep marketing. If you have to delay that because of your family
love
situation,
that.
fine.
Yeah.
But to block schedule, we'll hit it. It's tough. Like, I'll say this, like, there's no bones about it, man. It's easier to build a business if you don't have a family. Like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I was
I'm
going to touch on that.
I'm gonna call it out.
And if you're single too.
Single too, man. Like,
Yeah.
I had my painting business running full time. And I was still selling those jobs, running the crews. There's a lot going on, but I found a way to launch Revive as well. But there was no kids in the picture, right? So I look at today, I'm running 2 companies and family, man. It's really busy. If someone was like, let's go start another company, I'm going to look at my calendar and just say when. So
Yep.
I think the first thing, have a chat with your partner. Are we aligned on building this thing for our future? If you're a good salesperson, you got your partner to marry you, you're gonna have to sell them on this vision of where this business could go. And I would say, if I was to do it today, I could march upstairs and sell my wife that I'm gonna need 2 evenings and 1 Saturday. And I'm gonna keep my day job. We're gonna keep paying rent, keep groceries, but I'm gonna figure out a way on those 2 evenings and 1 Saturday. Sunday is gonna be full family day. The other 5 evenings, I'm all present family. But that would be my time I would need to make it happen if I was still working full time. And those of you that do have full time jobs, making pretty good money, you probably got pretty good flexibility. I would say that you could take a holiday or you could take a Friday. You could take time to kind of steal to build back into your future. I only started taking holidays off, man, in like the last year, just becoming a dad. Because I didn't.
Yeah.
Alex was like, "It's a holiday today." I'm like, "What?"
No,
what?
same with buddy.
What
We're
is a
brutal.
holiday?
That's why it works. We're brutal with that, man.
So
I tell you.
that's how I'd block schedule to start initially. If I could do an 8-hour day on a Saturday and do 2 evenings a week, or you might even need to get scrappy, man. You want to go put Junior down to bed. What's happening from 7:30 when he or she's out until 10:30, right?
Yeah.
I would rather be setting up my jobber than finishing off Lincoln Lawyer on net. But Lincoln Lawyer is a great show. But, that's just what I'd say for blocking.
Yeah, it's the old Roman philosophy: suffer now for peace later, right? And I don't know the Latin, so not that educated, I guess. When should you go full time, Dave? So April 1st, you have 10K on the books. You have your thing in place. This question of when you should go full time also leads into the question of when do I hire? Also leads to the next question of when do I need to put another truck on the road?
Yeah.
Like all 3 of them almost come together.
Yeah, it's like asking me how to play baseball in like a 15-second clip. It's just like there's so much stuff.
Well, first and foremost, you should book to have a chat with us to see if we can help, because that is the other question you mentioned at the beginning, is investing in yourself. We are a coaching program. Yes, we are going to shamelessly plug ourselves. If you want to get to your goals a heck of a lot faster and learn from people who have done it, then obviously book a call and let's see if we can
I
help
don't
you
even
out. But
think, man, it's shamelessly plugging. Like if you take your car into the mechanic and they don't tell you that if you go in for your brakes and you're seeing other stuff that's wrong, your transmission's going, they like legally should be telling you of your options.
I believe
We're
in
doing this-
BC, they by law have to write up a full report
Okay.
notifying, at least at Mr. Lube. I don't know if it's their company
So home
policy,
service training obviously is more unregulated, but then the day, like if you've watched 40 minutes in right now and seen our channel, like I feel this like heart palpitation to tell you guys, like literally we'll get more into it, but what we've built out right here, it's just it's mind blowing. And so
That was a heavy. That's a lot.
but just like for now, consume on our channels, free podcast, YouTube, because we've brought on over 300 people now in our program, which isn't cheap. But the best people who turn up and get results, they blitz us on YouTube and podcasts.
Yes.
One guy came in, he's like, that one thing you said on that one episode, I'm like, I do not even remember. But it's it's just people hold on to it so I want to be like cautious what we say and not try to sell you something you don't need. But we're going to mention it to the 2%ers who want more.
Yeah. And I think also too, be okay to make mistakes. That would be my thing. I think HSBC, I still classify it as I'm an owner, with just how bought in I am with HSBC. But this is like, so I guess is business number 4. I failed 3 other times, and then Dave brought me on in kind of, I guess, the earlier years of HSBC, and we won't get into that story, but be okay to fail. Like the amount of Dave, like we could probably roll down a freaking laundry list of the things we're good at. Yes, but here's all the things I failed at, I suck at, I need to get better at. Because that's where my mind goes. Isn't like, oh, look how great we are. It's, okay, what's missing? How do we make this thing better? How do we make ourselves better as individuals? Getting feedback from other people. Yeah. I got my birthday coming up. Maybe you can rip this tradition off.
December 1st. Let's go.
Yeah, buddy. Calendar. I love that. But I ask every birthday, what did I do well at this year? What do I need improvement on? I think this is going to be the 4th year of doing that. It's just, how do I know what I need to get better at without gaining feedback? This is the same thing with coaching. Got to get you feedback in order to get better. But on saying that, anything else, Dave, you want to elaborate on? Like, this has been pretty exhaustive. If you're like, how the heck do I start? And like, you're always going to have more questions. That's where we have so many other podcast episodes and YouTube episodes. You're going to eventually reach a crux to where you're probably going to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Or you're going to be like, the cash flow. I just like, I'll do the jobs. I'll get the jobs. I'll do the jobs. I'm paying my guys or whatever it is. But for some reason, my cash is just never there. I never have the cash.
Yeah, so a few things on this, and we'll wrap. I think I want to track it back. Like, when should I go full time? Because I feel really passionate about that. And I would personally, I'm just going to coach what I did. I would personally not go into a business full time with your time until that business income has met or exceeded your day job. And I know that's controversial, but I am not the coach that says, oh, burn the ships and you know, you got to jump into this thing full time. Like, what I do and what I've done is, once your side hustle startup once that level of income matches or exceeds what you're getting from your day job, then I think it's time to green light it. And I love this because most entrepreneurs don't mention this, but I'll share an example. Damon John on Shark Tank, when he was launching FUBU, he worked at Red Lobster, man, for almost 6 years with his day job, so he could go hustle the thing and get it going. So I would like to say, like, if Damon can do it, then I can do it. You can do it.
Yep, absolutely agreed. Because it's a cardinal, almost sin, man, to just we hear it every day. It's like, I want to do this thing, but I can't afford it, and it's just like, man, if you're doing over $100,000, you should be able to pretty much afford anything you want to do in your business when you start, because biggest fatal mistake. And I guarantee most of you have already done this. I'm making, let's say, 10 grand worth of profit. Sounds like a lot when you start off. Absolutely nothing, to be honest. And then your family bills are 8 to 10 grand.
Yep.
And that's your only sole source of income. So it's like, okay, how do you expect to grow with zero money? Oh, I'm just going to market and get more leads. It's like, no, you're probably going to just spend more money, because instantly, as soon as you bring up to 12 grand, you do that for 2 months, your monthly bills, you get the organic chicken all of a sudden now, right?
I think, man, it comes down to, you need to have multiple sit downs probably with your partner at home. and say, put on a seatbelt for the next 36 months because it's going to be a wild ride. I'm going to keep my day job, keep paying us X amount. That's fine. But I really want to get this thing off the ground because at that time, in 3-4 years, our kids will be older. We're going to have more freedom to travel, higher income. My boss is a dick, blah, 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 blah. All these reasons, right? I think you don't have to sell us on jumping into business for yourself. But I think most people just don't listen to a lot of the wisdom on this chat we're having today. And they get 10 jobs and they go, honey, I got to do this full time. Like Bob wants to hire me and his cousin. And before they know it, they don't have any savings saved up and they told their boss to screw off and then they're in a tough spot. So the second question, when do you look at hiring? Like, I just love the answer 100 grand for both of these. Like in my case, it was 89 grand to get me to say this is a very viable thing. I want to start rocking this full time. Now, again, me being fairly risk averse, I actually grew my wash business over 600 grand before I said goodbye to the painting business. Because on 600, I wanted to replace 120 grand minimum of profit. So I had to make that happen before I could jump in.
Yeah. And I think Upflip even did a video on how this guy grew 2 million. And I think at 900K he left his job finally.
Yeah.
Like same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like once that threshold reaches, and like I understand it gets exciting, you want to go all in, but the brokest times in my life have been when I decided I didn't have the nest egg saved up. I jumped all into business. Then I didn't have the cash to fund the business. And next thing I know, I have to go get a job.
Yeah.
Or just start almost like ground zero. So it's just like take advice, from Dave's side, from my side of things. Yeah. Do as we say, not as we have done.
Yeah.
But on that same token, don't be afraid to make failures. Don't be afraid to make yourself look like an idiot. And you're going to have a lot of stress. You're going to be worrying. You're going to have anxious thoughts, all these kind of things. Part of the deal. It does end. It does end.
Yeah. And for hiring, man, like I would get your sales over 100K. Like, again, you got to feed yourself and your family first. But at a certain point, 150, 200 grand, if I've got a window cleaning company, you got enough monthly coming in, you're going to start saying, goodness me, like I can get someone in my market for $24 an hour to take this squeegee and water fed pullover, and they can actually free up my time. So I look at all the people in my cleaning company as just being specialists and being great at what they do. And in turn, I'm able to buy back my time. So the numbers still need to work, but usually I'd say 150K is a great spot in annual revenue that you start coming home, chatting to your spouse, man, I'm so busy doing the cleaning, doing this, like we need to make some adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. And the more, they're almost an investment. Obviously they're expense on the P&L, but they're almost an investment into your time, into freeing that up to continue to grow the business. Again, another huge mistake we see. And I just love this story. And I've said it before, Dave, you're going to be like, oh, here we go again. Sam Ovens, Alex Hormozi, you don't know who they are, look them up. Hormozi invested with Sam and school.com, platform we use. We love it. Alex, I need you to market school. Sam, I need you to make school better. That was their conversation. Now, again, skill cap, you're talking, if you were to hire Hormozi as a GM or something, he's a minimum.
Couple $100 grand.
Oh, no. I'm talking like salary, man. He's probably like,
There's no
2,
amount.
3. Yeah, right. It's almost, that's why he runs his own business, right? Yeah. But the higher level people, the more you pay, the better people you'll attract, the better culture you'll build, the less time you're going to be spent there. You're going to grow faster. Once you have the proper knowledge and all this kind of stuff comes into play. So I think we killed it.
Yeah, man, we did. I want to say one more thing. Like, I think the best thing a business owner can do is stop being a specialist in each department of your business and start hiring for those specialists. And I think the first department I would look to is getting someone rocking out in the field on your service teams. Like that'd be a great goal. Champion one. And if you could roll this year and bring a second champion, I'd bring a really solid office manager in. Yeah. We find a lot of success with the companies what we work with. Around that $500,000, $600,000 range is a great spot to have a small lean team, couple crews crushing, strong office manager, and then business owner Doug can go out and do business development and grow the thing and still be making 120, 150 on the bottom line and have like a pretty great work-life balance. That's a great first checkpoint for those newbie entrepreneurs watching this to get their business too.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, again, there's so many pros and so many cons. Just learn from kind of the common things. I've spoken, I think we did the math, 1,463
more now,
people.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a few months ago. It's way above 15, 16, 1,700. I hear it every day. You can heed our advice or not. But at the end of the day, have some cash, follow the correct steps, and please, if not with us, invest into coaching, not just in equipment. Invest into mentorship. Get around people who have done the thing you want to do if you want the fast track. So if you want to, again, talk with us here, you speak to me or our team here at Home Service Business Coach. Link will be down below. Do not forget that 0 to 800K case studies.
Yeah.
If this wasn't enough info, you got more information. Information is useless unless, Dave?
It's implemented, baby.
Exactly. So implement this stuff. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Dave, as always, great. Is this now my podcast or your podcast?
You can have it, man. You're
I don't
doing
know,
a great
man.
job. You're the host.
I don't
I'm
know,
just the
Dave
guest.
Mormon, right?
Yeah.
So just a guest here too. But everybody take care, and we'll talk to you soon.